I call to order the October 2018 meeting of the Media Borough Council. I ask you please stand and join me in the salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I request that we remain standing for a moment in recognition of the passing of a friend to our community, our neighbor, Bob Diamond. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Bob Diamond meant a lot to a lot of us here. And I don't think that in the short time we have allotted tonight, we can do justice to the man. And in fact, I think that the memorial service this past weekend, which stretched 2 hours, probably just began to do justice to the man. And I expect that at some time in the near future, council will make a fitting tribute to Bob Diamond, who served for many years as the borough's treasurer as well as a tax collector. But I think that tonight, in light of the upcoming Veterans Day Parade, which Bob for many, many years helped to direct and to organize, I think that in view of that, and in view of being the 100th anniversary of the end of the war to end all wars, I think that it would be fitting for the mayor to say a few words about Bob Diamond on the eve of one of the most important days for those who have served the military.
Yeah, Bob and I had the fortune of working with him for the last 20-some years on the parade. And I just want to comment on the night he passed away. I usually call Bob at like somewhere between 2 or 3 in the afternoon. So this time I called him around 10 to 6 exactly, because I looked back on it. And instead of talking about the parade, he started reminiscing about some things, about how he wasn't expected to live more than 3 years, how he made it to 84, and a few other things. And then, of course, later that night, I got a call that he had passed away. He had said that his children were coming over later. It wasn't clear to me whether they made it on time or not for him. But Bob was the ultimate volunteer and organizer. I mean, the parade, everything I worked with him on was completely organized and organized by him. I helped him in some ways. I helped him disorganize a lot of times, but we missed him. And I was telling Paul about the Memorial Day where, I turned and usually Bob says the Pledge of Allegiance, and I didn't have Bob there, and someone else said it, and they said it all wrong, and I'm not paying attention to it. And the next day, I got chewed out by some people for how that went. But Bob was the guy that really did the organizing of that, and we got each other into a lot of different situations when it comes to that, but they always all worked out. So, although I'm not always calm, Bob always was calm. So, thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. Rand. As I said, we expect that in the near future we'll have a more fitting tribute to Bob Diamond. For now, on behalf of everyone on this table, we miss him, and we will miss him. And we have nothing but the best wishes to his family and to his wife, peace at this time. Let's move along to the housekeeping matters. We have a couple of sets of meeting minutes. The first is for our workshop of this past month. Do I hear a motion to approve the workshop meeting minutes for September 2018 as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the September 6, 2018 workshop meeting minutes as submitted, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously. The second set of meeting minutes, as is our custom, is our council meeting minutes for this past month. Do I hear a motion to approve those as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the September 20, 2018 council meeting minutes as submitted, please say aye. 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 Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously. We have a light agenda tonight, and correspondingly, we have a light attendance tonight. I will ask if anyone wishes to address council at this time in public comment and privilege of the floor. I will be surprised if there's anyone who takes me up on that offer. And there are no takers. So we'll move along then to the engineer's report. Mr. Mattson.
Thank you, Mr. President. A few updates. The Veterans Square project, the Veterans Square Garden project is moving along quite well. I spoke to the contractor today who believes that the project will be finished before the original anticipated completion date. So they think they will be done by November 5th, which is great news. There have been just a few cosmetic field changes. The contractor has been great to work with, and I'm delighted to report that today I issued a field order to have a parking kiosk installed in lieu of the former parking meter. Much to the thanks of our borough manager and project manager of the borough, Jim Seaman, helped facilitate that with our broker of the kiosk. There was a lot of coordination back and forth, but I'm very, very happy that that will be done. There also is a change order that's requested. It's under, I think, $1,000 for, there was a specific detail that NV5 needed to see, and I'm going to have to fish the exact number out, so if you don't mind, I'll table that until a little bit later on the agenda, the exact order for the change order. But it had to do with the technical detail at the electrical panel.
It's $656,000. I'm sorry.
Over half a million dollars.
$656.50. Sorry about
That's
that.
better.
Thanks, Jeff. So that is the change order. So you want to find it made some unbelievable. That's a change order. Relatively de minimis in the scope of the project. So that is offered for your consideration. It's a change order. That, I would have to request that, I guess, in the form of a motion to have that officially adopted into the project.
I'll make that.
So moved. Okay. And I'll take that as a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the change order for the Veterans Square Memorial Garden project as outlined by our engineer, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. President. And just lastly, we did submit, pursuant to our annual requirements in September, the annual MS4 report for the borough, making sure that we're in compliance with the 6 minimum control measures outlined by the state's requirement for the MS4 program. Stay in compliance for yet another year.
Excellent.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Menson. Any questions for the borough's engineer?
Yeah, one. Not really a question, Kevin, just a comment. I know that there was some discussion among the contractor and the landscape architect about the installation of plant material at the garden, and to the extent that I have any say so, I'd love to see it all get done before the end of the season. I think there was some concern about ground covers and some of the minor planting.
I did speak to him about this issue today, and again, the concern actually, again, it's not my specific area of expertise,
Yeah,
I trust you would have a lot more wisdom in these matters, but making sure that the weather is appropriate, I think we want to make sure that everything that gets planted is going to be healthy. So I hear you loud and clear.
All right, unless there are any other questions, we will turn to the borough solicitor, Mr. Scott, for his report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't have anything to report.
Does anyone have any questions for the solicitor at this time? Hearing none, we'll move on then to the mayor's report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. For the month of September, the police department had 719 complaints, and the crime log is attached to the handout. Back to the parade. November 12th, everyone is invited. It is the Monday after November 11th. Usually the parade is on November 11th, but being on a Sunday, we cannot get bands on a Sunday, so we always have it. It's about the next generation, these parades. So we want as many students to be there as possible, and they just can't make it on a Sunday, so we're doing it on the 12th. The reason we're not doing it on the 9th, which was the MBA put out the 9th, is because the county holiday is that Monday. So we have to have it when the county is closed. So that's the reason why it's on the 12th. We'll have all 4 elementary schools in Rose Tree Media participating. We're trying to pull the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans out to these parades, and if their children are involved in the parades, there's more likelihood that they will join us in the parades. Our guests, Lieutenant Pierce will sing again. Senator Bob Casey indicates that he will be there, and And I have a grand marshal in mind that I invited. I'm not sure that that person will accept, so I don't want to announce that. So that's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Does anyone have any questions for the mayor? Hearing none, we'll move along to the council committee reports. We will start with Properties, Public Works, and Fire. Councilman Robinson.
Good evening. Just one little announcement. What I've been continuing to see is some of our residents are putting lawn waste onto the streets. If you do have lawn waste, and I'm not talking about leaves, because we do pick up our leaves on the street. I'm talking about large sticks, talking about grass cuttings, weeds and things like that, that I'm starting to encounter more and more properties of just having the philosophy that if I get it off my property, somebody else will be responsible for it. That is a big issue to our stormwater system, and I would ask that people, to put them in the brown bags. We're more than happy to pick any of that up. Leaves, you can take a look on our website for when leaves will be picked up. They can be just raked into the street. But I think it's important that we recognize that you just can't shovel everything off your one's property onto our streets and ask our highway department to be responsible for it.
The brown bags are Wednesdays, correct, Jeff?
They're any day.
Any
You can
day?
put them out, and the way the highway department works is they will do their best to get it that day, but they will definitely get it up within a few days. So whenever you have it, put it out. It's worked out better for our highway department, because then, to be candid, residents put them out on different days, and we're not trying to pick up as much at one time. But they run a truck around almost every day to different sections of the borough and pick them up. So legislatively, this is very exciting. We've been talking stormwater projects for some time, and particularly in the North Olive Street section has been a significant issue. So I am pleased tonight to make a motion that we approve. We had 3 bids that came in for the project. McMahon Associates, Pannoni, were at $194,489. Pannoni is at $185,000, not dollars, to make sure we do get this right now. And the low bid, which is very nice to hear, is our own engineering firm for the borough, McCormick and Taylor, at a low bid of $162,830. So I would make a motion that we approve the agreement with McCormick and Taylor in the dollar amount of $162,830 for the engineering and project management of this first time. I guess it's the first major project that we're doing. Hopefully it's going to be the first of many that we will do to help resolve some of our stormwater issues. So that's in the form of a motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of awarding the contract for stormwater engineering design and project management with regard to North Olive Street to McCormick Taylor for the amount of $162,000 and change, as specified by Councilman Robinson, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
That concludes my report.
Are there any questions for Councilman Robinson? Hearing none, we'll move along to Media Business Authority, Historic, Public Safety, and Civil Service. That's Councilman Lisa Johnson.
Thank you. I have nothing to report.
All right. Anyone have any questions for Lisa Johnson before we move along to Vice President Amy Johnson? All right. Amy, Fair Trade, Farmers Market, Shade Tree, and the EAC.
All right, thanks. Just a quick announcement for Fair Trade. They will be at the Media Farmers Market on Sunday, October 28th, along with representatives from the Media Providence Friends School. Visit the market, pick up Fair Trade bananas, homemade muffins made with Fair Trade chocolate. Also, it'll be a great opportunity to find out more about our Fair Trade Committee and what they do. And also where to find fair trade products that you can purchase right in our town of Media. Just a reminder, like I always do, the market continues, the Media Farmers Market continues every Sunday from 9 to 1 on Edgemont Street between State and Front. There's still a few weeks left of this season going into, I believe, the week before Thanksgiving. Lots of local and seasonal products to shop from, so go for a visit this Sunday. Shade tree, the tree health survey has been completed for one precinct and well on the way for the second precinct out of the 4. This health survey, like I've talked about before, includes a comprehensive evaluation of the health of our trees as well as any sidewalk issues that trees are creating. So if you happen to see 2 people sitting outside of your house logging information, those are our 2 of our Shade Tree Committee people that spend a lot of time having to log all this information. So it might look a little awkward. They're actually like pull up a chair and they're sitting on the street. Don't be alarmed. They're just logging all of that important information about our shade trees. And then as far as EAC, EAC hadn't met in 2 months, and we had a pretty informative and comprehensive report last week from Ron Centano discussing solar maintenance and also what some budgetary asks will be out of that discussion. So council will see that reflected probably next month. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Vice President Amy Johnson? Hearing none, we'll move along to my portion of the agenda. I have 2 items for legislative action. The first involves a development at 8th and Jackson Streets. Many of us know this as the property at the corner of 8th and Jackson, where a member of the Strine family formerly lived. At present, there is nothing on there aside from a lonesome garage and the remnants of a tennis court. This project has worked its way through our normal channels and it's now at the final step. This is the final subdivision and land development application for that location. I must say that throughout the process, I think we've been positively impressed by the developer and his willingness to accommodate our concerns as well as the concerns of Planning Commission. I don't know if anybody has any questions concerning this project, but I'm prepared tonight to make the motion that we approve the final subdivision and land development application for 720 North Jackson Street.
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'll call the question. All those in favor of approving the final subdivision and land...
Actually, Amy, I should amend that motion because in my haste to get these gentlemen home, I forgot to mention that there is a resolution that should be attached to this motion with a series of conditions, all of which I understand are satisfactory to the developer.
There were some last minute changes that are minor that, for instance, on the Exhibit A attachment, the replacement street number has been revised from 31 to 27. There's a couple of minor things, so if you want in your packet, will be updated, but it's substantively the same. A few corrections.
All right, so I'll amend my motion to one of approval subject to the conditions laid out in Resolution 2018-40, so long as that language meets the approval of our solicitor as well as our engineer.
I'll second that amendment.
Okay, so motion has been made and seconded for a second time. All those in favor of approving resolution number 2018-40 for the final subdivision and land development application at 720 North Jackson Street, subject to conditions laid out with approval of our developer and solicitor, please say aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion approves unanimously.
Item number 2, this is appointment of a new member to the Historic Architecture Review Board. A gentleman who has lived in the borough for some time has decided that he would like to become more involved in his community, and he stepped up. He saw that there was an opportunity on the review board, and he tendered his letter of interest. He met with the board, and the board thinks that he will be a very good fit. This gentleman's name is Lars Seufert. Sorry, Lars Seufert. And I'm moving that we vote to approve his appointment to the HARB for a term expiring December 31, 2019.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor of approving resolution number 2018-41 for the appointment of Lars Seufert to the HARB for a term expiring 12/31/19, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it.
I have nothing further.
Any questions for President Hall?
Okay, good. We'll move along to the Recreation Board of Health. Councilman Boyer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm not sure if this is a message, but my microphone is not working. So thank you, Mr. I'll talk about it too. So I have two announcements from Board of Health, one of which is an upcoming spotted lanternfly information center. This is an invasive pest who unfortunately is moving this way. It's infested Berks County and some areas west of here, causing lots and lots of damage to agriculture. So on Friday, November 2nd, from 9 until noon, at Penn State Brady One campus, Student Union Building, room 114, there's an information center. So if you want to hear some information and see pictures to be able to spot this insect, that would be recommended. As I said, it's very problematic west of here, and hopefully it will dissipate before it gets to Delaware County, so we can only hope that. One other announcement regarding Board of Health, that is tomorrow from 10 till 2 at Tinicum Fire Company. There is a drive-through flu shot clinic. So I guess you just have to hold your arm out of the car and they will be happy to give you an injection. But that is tomorrow, 10 till noon at Tinicum Fire Company. And this is free, it's sponsored by the county, so drive-through flu shot clinic tomorrow. If you want your flu shot, go get your flu shot. A few announcements from Rec. There are tickets available for the Sixers. This is on Friday, November the 30th, against the Washington Wizards. Tickets are $20. This was successful last year, so hopefully we'll be able to do something later in the season as well. The annual Halloween extravaganza is on Saturday, October 27th, from 11:30 till 1:30. And I believe that is before the Halloween parade, so the idea is to go to the extravaganza, get your hot dogs, candy, and then go see the parade after that. And then upcoming, the senior luncheon will be November 10th from 12 to 3 at Spazzo's. Tickets are available. They are available as of October 15th. I believe the luncheon is limited to 100 residents. You have to be 55 or older. Call Paula. You have to be a borough resident and be able to demonstrate that to get your free ticket to the senior luncheon. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Councilman Boyer?
Yes, I'm sorry, we went through quickly. The Sixers game again?
Friday, November the 30th, against the Washington Wizards. $20 per ticket. I think they're not together, from what I gather. They're kind of all different areas, but they're not all. They're not going to block the tickets, right? From what I understand.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Unless there are any other questions, we'll move along to Councilman Williamson for Finance and Library.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll start with the payment bills for the month of September. You'll note that the general fund is particularly large this month, and I will explain why in a moment. But payment on the general fund, $1,503,034.78. Recreation fund, $2,534.88. The liquid fuels fund, $137,165. And the capital fund, $51,181.90. I move approval for the payment of those bills.
Second.
Motion has been made, it has been seconded. Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of payment of the borough's bills for the month of September as outlined by Councilman Williamson, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Now, before I start talking about the budget, both this year and next, I want to just get this resolution item out of the way. The Pico Green Region Program is a program for municipalities in our region that offers grants of up to $10,000, matching grants for activities related to open space, be it acquisition, planning, development, etc. We've had some success over the years in obtaining these grants for our park development and signage and so forth. And we'd like to submit one for a planned activity, which was we were going to do an open space plan for the borough, which seems particularly prudent nowadays because the county, Delaware County, is preparing its own open space program, which will give grants to municipalities that have good plans. So it seems to make a lot of sense to get that going now while their program is still incipient. So Karen has prepared a resolution for us authorizing to request $10,000 toward the completion of that plan. Move approval.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I take it back. I take it back. I'd like to recuse myself from any motion here because my organization, Natural Lands, administers the Pico Green Region Program. I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have moved approval. But I did describe the program, and I'll let somebody else.
I'll make a motion that we approve Resolution 2018-42, authorizing the submission of the Pico Green Region Grant for Open Space Plan.
Second.
Is there any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adopting the resolution as outlined by Councilman Williamson, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. The motion passes 6-0 with one abstention.
I'll be happy to sign the form as soon as you prepare it. Okay, for the budget, this will be quick. For the current year's budget, we're closing in on the end of the year, so we have reporting through September, which is 3/4 of the year, 75% of the way through the budget. Right now, we're at about 85% of the revenue we expect, so we're about 10% ahead of our revenue projections for that time of year. And our expenses are slightly ahead. They're at 77%. But the reason for that, whereas they had been trending behind for the rest of the previous to the year, we had to pay almost $1 million to cover our minimum municipal obligations toward our pensions, and that comes in a one-time check for the year. So that skewed us a little bit toward in the expense side, but it will recover through the last quarter of the year. And now for the 2019 budget, that process has begun. We had a meeting just yesterday where we heard from department heads and some of the NGOs in town. We'll hear some more next week. They're explaining their sort of requests they're making to us for this year, the coming year. We have some real benefit this year in the staff and a new staff member, Jim Siemens, who's put together a great capital projects compilation, which is something that keeps getting better every year. I'm very satisfied that we have Jim on board helping us with that. So we'll go through this. No decisions are made. The staff is just compiling everything. Some good news is our medical benefits, I believe, Jeff, are not going up at all this year. So that's a nice piece of budgetary news that we can use now. But something else is trending in an opposite direction. I don't know what we'll do this year, but every citizen in media should be aware of this. Paul often talks about the need for volunteer firefighters when he makes announcements. And it's true across the Commonwealth and across the country that people like Bob Diamond, who we've just lost, who was a joiner, who loved to join civic things and do his civic duty, it's not as popular in America today. And organizations like volunteer firefighting companies are suffering. And media is no exception. And over the years, they've struggled to maintain their roster, and it only gets harder from year in and year out. So they have been telescoping to us that it's only a matter of time before we're going to have a staffed fire department. They're as reluctant to do it as we are, but they want to give us the unvarnished truth as they see it. So what they're doing this year, they've made a request to us to consider compensating the firefighters that they have on a per-call basis as a way to induce them to stay and perhaps induce others to come. They see it as a stopgap measure. I just wanted to explain it to all of my council members and to the public, just to know that that's one of the larger issues in the budget for next year that we have been asked to consider. And that's all I have to report.
Peter, I was at a conference last week, and again, there was someone else speaking regarding volunteer fire companies. I think you might have been at one of the same seminars. If we had to pay our volunteer firefighters in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, it would be a $1.9 billion a year check that we'd be writing. And you said it eloquently tonight that the volunteerism isn't there. I think sometimes it's not that people don't want to, it's just communities have changed. Historically, in the old days, you know, you worked and lived in your community, and if you were working at the local hardware store and the fire whistle went off, the boss would let you take off and fight that fire. Those days are disappearing, and you know, sad to say, if you take a look at the firefighters that we currently have in our department, I'm going to bet you that 90% of it is third and fourth generation, where it's just in the blood, you know, and it's something that is going to be more difficult. And we are, if you look around in Delaware County and parts of Chester County, many communities currently have, you know, some sort of a paid fire department, and I think that's the area.
That's a good point, Paul. When I asked, the chief rattled off 4 without even thinking that are doing this now.
I know off the top, you know, Concord Township, East Whiteland Township, Montgomery Township, and Montgomery County are just a couple that I can rattle off right now. We've been holding off for a long time, and we're willing to spend $1 million on a piece of equipment. We're going to have to start, you know, that piece of equipment's also going to be manpower in the foreseeable future.
Are there any other questions for Councilman Williamson? Hearing none, we will move then to Personnel, Public Relations, and Historical Archives. That's Councilwoman Sarah Dixon.
I have no updated information to share.
Thank you, Councilman Dixon. Does anyone have any questions for Councilman Dixon? All right, then we will turn to the public. If they have any questions, please come forward.
Right, just one little reminder that and it just made me think about it earlier. Halloween is coming up. So everyone, please remember, I mean, we are still one of the communities that celebrate Halloween on the 31st. And we're just asking everyone to, you know, be careful, go out with your kids, make sure you have the flashlights. As always, our police department will be out in full force, more than likely giving out candy to the kids as they always do. But just be safe, cross the intersections, pay attention to traffic, and to our residents. Please remember it is Halloween, so do something unusual. Stop at all the stop signs, look both ways, and make sure that everyone's safe. So, and all the kids have fun with the candy.
Excellent points. Before we come to a conclusion tonight, I had the opportunity this morning to walk through the Manchester Pocket Park. And I must say that the plantings really are coming along quite nicely. So thanks to Amy and thanks to Peter for their work in that regard. Also thanks to the Media Area Rotary Club for their efforts and their continuing efforts. I understand at the end of this month.
Let's not forget our Public
I was
Works
gonna
Department.
say.
Because the reason it looks so nice is they were just through there sprucing it up last week. So you saw it at its best, really.
Yeah.
Thanks to them.
And if folks out there haven't seen it yet, you ought to stop by and take a look at it. It's quite a nice addition. You might want to spend a little bit of time there and bring along your kids. It's actually large enough lawn there for a kid to play in. Just make sure that they stay away from the steps. All right, so there not being any public comment or privilege of the floor, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you and good night.